Okay, we are live. Hello, Podfeet. Are you
Hi,
feeling
it's going to be a
good?
great show. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Everything's great. Nothing's wrong. All right, we're going to do roll call and get started because I've got a lot to read. We have Kevin and Marty and Frank from Japan and Jill and listener Lynn from down the street, Mr. Ed from down the street, John and Sutter from down the street. Do I just collect people in the neighborhood? That's what's going on here. Sandy and Seamus and Zoe. All right.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers?
Everyone's down the street in Mr. Rogers'
Oh,
neighborhood.
okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start because I got a lot to do here.
All right.
Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, September 14th, 2025, and this is show number 1062. Alrighty, save. And for some reason that save takes forever. There we go. And I did save. All right. So what did I say was up first? You can add good CarPlay. What? Well. No. Yeah. I'm going to put a chapter mark even though there's 10 seconds in. I wonder, do people appreciate the fact that my show just starts right out? No faffing about, no ads, no pre-roll ads. Good, thank you. All right, I think it's amazing. All right, here you go. You may remember a few months ago when I told you about our adventures trying to add a portable CarPlay screen to our daughter Lindsay's 2014 Subaru. I don't want to go through the whole story again, but the experiment failed for several reasons. First of all, the vent mount wouldn't work on her car because it totally blocked all of the air that should blow at the driver, and she lives where it gets really hot, so that was important to her. The suction cup mount that they provided didn't work either because it simply fell off in the heat. Now, you may remember I bought a nifty magnetic mount from a company called Course Motorsports, and it was tailored to be mounted to a screw on the side of the built-in head unit on her model of Subaru. But for the life of us, and by us I mean Steve, we couldn't break that screw loose, so we were never able to test that mount. Finally, the Lampto display that I bought had terrible lag when making phone calls. Other than that, the whole thing was awesome. Well, I bought the same screen for her husband Nolan, and it actually worked out for him in his car. We were able to mount it in the passenger vent, so that problem was solved, and it turns out he doesn't talk on the phone very often, so the lag wasn't an issue either. Well, how about hot enough for it to melt and fall off? The odd thing about the phone call lag is that not one of the reviews mentioned it. I still wanted to get a CarPlay screen for Lindsay, but as I read reviews of other screens, nobody on those was talking about a phone call lag either, good or bad. For months, whenever I had time to kill, I'd read about different screens, trying to figure out which one to get her. I even watched YouTube videos of people doing reviews, which isn't something I normally like to do. In the absence of any guidance on the phone lag issue, I was able to eliminate a lot of models after all of my research. Many of the CarPlay screens involve the mounting problem. Not involve, solve. In the absence of any guidance. It gets over 100 there. Not Vegas hot, but still pretty hot. Many of the CarPlay screens solve the mounting problem by having them on a stand that you put up on your dashboard. Now, I don't know about other states and countries, but according to the California Department of Motor Vehicles, that's illegal. You're only allowed to block a 7-inch square in the lower corner of the passenger or rear window, or a 5-inch square on the lower corner of the driver's side window, or a 5-inch square in the center uppermost portion of your windshield, but that's only for an electronic toll payment device. So not only is it illegal to mount a device blocking your view, I think it's just plain common sense that you shouldn't put it there. So a stand is out, suction cups are out, and vent mounts are out. The only good solution is that Course Motorsports magnetic mount that I already bought. I talked to Nolan, and he has one of those bits for a drill that's designed just to let you drill out a screw, and he said he would conquer it if I bought a new display. Well, that narrowed my search down to displays that could support a round magnetic mount. Most of them had rectangular areas with little clip slots, but I found a couple that fit the bill. I ended up purchasing the 9-inch Eonon CarPlay and Android Auto display for $70 on Amazon. The setup of the new display was identical to the previous one. Throw some power to it over USB-C, connect sound to the car's audio system with an aux cable, turn it on, connect it to your Bluetooth settings, and boom, you've got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It could not have been easier. I tested it before leaving our house to go see Lindsay, and phone calls had very little lag, and that was great news. Let me see whether that worked. And boom, you've got wireless CarPlay. Perfect. Now, drilling out the screw in the side of the head unit turned out to be a lot harder to remove than any of us had anticipated. Steve and Nolan ended up pulling the head unit out of the car after disconnecting a whole bunch of connectors. Now, this gave Nolan a better angle to drill straight down into the stubborn screw with all of his might. I wasn't there for this part, but Steve said it was touch and go whether he would succeed, but Nolan stayed at it and he won the battle. Now, once he had the recalcitrant... This could be a long show. Nolan thinks he looks a little crazy there, but I like it. Once he had the recalcitrant screw out, they put a new screw in and were able to attach the Course Motorsports magnetic mount to the side of the head unit and make it look super clean and neat on Lindsay's car. Now, the guys were pretty much done with the hard part of the project, or so we thought, but before they buttoned up the dash, we decided to make it a wee bit harder. When Lindsay bought her car, she had the dealer install an aftermarket backup camera. They mounted it to her license plate in the back, and then they ran the wires all the way up to the front windshield where they mounted the saddest little display you've ever seen. Remember that 5-inch requirement for the driver's side of the windshield? It had no trouble fitting in that legal zone. Not only was it tiny at maybe like 3 inches diagonal, if I round up, it was super dim. Technically, it was better than no camera at all, but just barely. The CarPlay screen I bought came with a new backup camera, as many of them do. I told the boys about it, hoping that maybe there was a way they could just tap into the existing camera's wires and not have to reroute them, and then Lindsay could have that beautiful 9-inch display for the rear camera's view. Oh, you know, there's no way that worked, right? Of course, there were a different number of wires, the connectors were not all the same, and the idea of the boys having to route those wires the full length of the car sounded insurmountable. But then they made a crucial mistake. They plugged the camera into the display, and they saw how gorgeous the view was. They were motivated and decided to make it happen. I'm going to fast forward quite a bit, but after 5.5 hours of feeding wires through the head unit, across and under the steering column, down to the left, the bottom left of the driver's seat, under the carpeting, past the front back seats in the hatch area, up through the D-pillar and through some bendy tubes to enter the hatch, they were done. And you know what? It's freaking amazing. I can't believe how hard they worked on it, but they seem to enjoy working together, solving each problem with their complementary skills. The display sticks well to the magnetic mount from Course Motorsports and can be set to landscape or portrait orientation. I used it in portrait orientation when I was driving her car because my prescription sunglasses are perfectly polarized to make the screen black in landscape. Luckily, Lindsay's sunglasses seem to work with it in both orientations. That's what you get when you pay for Ray-Bans, I guess. The backup camera looks fantastic, and as of right now, she's not quite sure which orientation she'll stick with. The only thing left to do is attach some cable tie-downs and route the cables to clean up the look once she decides which way she likes it. Her aux and power cables both come out of her center armrest, so right now it's still a little bit messy if you look at the pictures. The bottom line is that it's quite possible to add a CarPlay screen to an aging car and bring it up to the modern age, and even add a great backup camera. The in-on 9-inch display was only $70, and I just bought it about a month ago, yet now it's no longer showing as available. How's that do for a terrible end to a review? But I got to tell you, these weirdly named companies seem almost to be placeholders, because I found out what looks to be an identical screen with identical accessories and that same circular magnetic mount from a company called, Avilet, also for $70 on Amazon. I can't vouch for this one personally, but I bet it would be just as good. I would also suggest that you pay someone to mount the rear camera for you if you get one. I'm just so happy that Lindsay finally has good CarPlay, can make phone calls with Siri, and has a backup camera to keep everyone safer. I don't know what's wrong with Kevin that he doesn't use a backup camera. It's so much safer. I just find that astonishing, Kevin.
Well, if the backup camera is not great, either...
He's got a new car.
Well, I don't know if all of them are great.
I suppose. He says he just doesn't trust it because he learned to drive by looking over his shoulder, is what he told me. Right, Kevin? We've had this argument.
The backup camera actually can have advantages because if your vision is blocked when you're pulling out from between two large vehicles, you can't see what's coming on, but your rear end will poke out first and with its wide-angle camera have a better view than the driver would. So there are some advantages to it, definitely.
I have checked, looking at my side view mirrors and my rear view mirror, I'm trying to look over my shoulder, and there are definite blind spots. But when I look at we have two side view cameras and the rear camera, and I see a person walk, I see them in two of those cameras at the same time. Now, that's not everybody's isn't that good, but having both, but it's pretty amazing. I still die on this.
I still will look back. I don't know why. Maybe just habit. So I use both, basically.
I did for a long time, and I don't anymore. You still look back, Joel? I said someone on the truck. Nice, Marty. Yeah, we've met your son. All right, I got to get going here. Here we go. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I seem to start a lot of my articles with the phrase, "You may remember," and this is another one of those times. You may remember back in 2022 when the delightful Bill Reveal helped me rebuild podfeet.com from scratch with a different operating system, a new web server software, and more. My server was getting hammered and it was time for a big update. Now, my victory dance post showed how fast the new server was and how by moving the database to a dedicated server and increasing the capacity of my web server, all was good. Well, those are the good old days. A few months back, I was perusing the performance graphs for my web server at my hosting company, DigitalOcean, when I saw something that concerned me. Periodic episodes lasting an hour or more where my CPU was hitting 100%. I asked around a bit to see if anyone wanted to help me poke into this, and I got a few suggestions, but nothing particularly actionable. Steve, that graph is in the 100% wrong place.
Okay.
And I need to fix it right now.
Is there another graph that belongs there instead?
Probably.
Yeah, this looks like resulting after the switch.
Yeah, this is way later. I'm going to move it because I got to find it. DNS. No, that's the first time. Yeah, it's supposed to be way down here. Did it go in the right place? Yeah, there. Now let me see. I'm fixing it right now because this post just went live like a few minutes ago. So entertain yourself. Let's see. It should be like a CPU spike. It should look like. I don't see it. No. I'm going to get this. I'm going to post this just to fix that one problem, and I'll go back and try to find spike graph.
So right now, you're going to upload that later to
I
the
just
blog
did.
post? Oh, you did?
So if you refresh, you should see it. It should be gone from under history.
Yeah, there's nothing. Oh, you're saying no figure should be in there at all?
Correct.
Okay.
I asked around a bit to see if anyone wanted to help me poke into this, and I got a few suggestions, but nothing particularly actionable. No, come on. You can do it. All right. I really hated to lean on Bill again, and Bart is crazy busy these days, so I thought I'd try using AI to help me diagnose what could be happening. I used ChatGPT for this effort, and it was pretty fun. I know enough of what I'm doing to be able to mostly tell when I'm changing something versus maybe just looking at something, so even knowing how often it returns, good grief, incorrect answers. Did I even read this? Incorrect. I will wait to do that. I know enough. I know enough of what I'm doing to be able to mostly tell when I'm changing something versus just looking at something. So even knowing how often it returns incorrect answers, I was pretty confident I could keep from damaging anything if I followed the instructions it gave me. For example, the command cat is what you use when you want to look at the contents of a file. That's safe. But VI or nano, that would mean actually going in to edit a file. The command tail means to watch a log file that's changing in real time. Nothing destructive here. For the most part, I felt that ChatGPT was very helpful. We looked at a lot of things which suggested many possibilities that we Come on. It's going to take forever if I can't get a sentence out. For the most part, try again. For the most part, I felt that ChatGPT was very helpful. We looked at a lot of logs, which suggested many possibilities that we were able to systematically eliminate, and I found the experience pretty instructive. That is, until at one point when it suggested I create this tiny little PHP file and drop it into some top-level directory. Now, I don't know how to read or write PHP, so I had no business following these instructions. But it looked like, a little hello world kind of thing, so I thought, what harm could that do? I tried to open podfeed.com in a browser at its instructions to that URL with that little PHP file, and instead I got redirected to beds.com. I raced back to ChatGPT, told it what had happened, and my little friend rang the 3-alarm fire bell. It yelled, "Oh, wooga, wooga," and it told me I'd been hacked. My whole system was ruined. I should shut the server down, burn all my documentation, maybe join a convent. I asked, could it be that little file you just had me put up there? And ChatGPT said, oh, yeah, that could be it. Maybe just delete that file. And deleting the little file fixed the problem. Well, after that, I was a lot more cautious when ChatGPT would tell me to do things. Whatever it told me to do, I'd ask it, is this safe? Or what could go wrong if this is a badly formatted thing? With that prompt, it often came back with something like, yeah, that could really mess things up. You want to try a less dangerous path? Why, yes, I do. After many, many hours, we ran into a curious problem. ChatGPT asked me to run some commands that I knew were harmless, and yet I couldn't run them. The first one we came across was when ChatGPT suggested I run the command strace to monitor some log files. My server responded with command not found. No worries, we'll just install it. ChatGPT suggested we use the Yum package manager to install strace, and think of a package manager like an app store. But when I tried that, I got a surprising result. It returned CentOS stream appstream errors during downloading metadata for repository appstream and could not resolve host mirrorlist.centos.org. Well, my operating system was CentOS Stream 8, so why couldn't it see the repository at centos.org? It turns out, but unbeknownst to me, that CentOS of all versions had been deprecated for more than a year. When they fully deprecated it, they shut down access to all of the package managers. There was no way I'd be able to install any new commands. More importantly, I needed to get off this operating system. Uh-oh, who's got a reticle tracking a target? I miss things when I'm not watching the chat stream. Thank you, Kevin. I put out the call to the Programming by Stealth channel in our Slack and didn't get much of a reaction. I think it's kind of like when the teacher starts to scan the classroom to look for someone to call on, and everybody just ducks down and pretends to be doing something else really important. Eventually, Bill Reveal said something along the lines of, I can help if need be if none of the young bucks step up. Come on, get a sentence out. Jeez. I can help if need be if none of the young bucks step up. He's such a peach. Well, not too long after that, I interviewed Ted Bushman for a Chit Chat Across the Pond. You may be... Well, not too... I'm getting frustrated with the speaker on this podcast. Well, not too long after that, I interviewed Ted Bushman for Chit Chat Across the Pond. You might remember where we were able to learn about his work as a professor at a technical college. After we finished recording, we talked for a long time about all kinds of things. I'm not sure how I worked it into the conversation, but I ended up telling him about my server woes and how I... Okay. I was trying to subtly turn my fan on because it's hot in here, and I dropped it so you could hear that. I'm not sure how I worked it into the conversation, but I ended up telling him about my server woes. I'm not sure how I worked it into the conversation, but I ended up telling him about my server woes and how I needed to migrate to a supported version of Linux. He got really excited and he said he'd love to help me. I am not making this up. He was excited. He teaches server admin and networking, and he sounded like he knew what he was doing, so I gladly said yes. We set a play date for a few weeks in the future to start working on the migration. As I awaited our scheduled play date, I was out of the glow of the fun of talking real time to Ted, and I started thinking, what do I really know about this guy? I mean, he's literally some guy I met on the internet who sounded smart and knowledgeable. What did I really know about this guy? Would he even show up? Does he actually know what he's talking about? Now, here's the funny thing. At the same time that I was doubting the wisdom of going ahead with him, Ted was having his own doubts. This will sound funny as you hear more of the story, but he had this huge fear that he would tell me to do something that ended up completely horrible and irreparably borking up my server. He was more worried than I was. Luckily, both of our fears were unfounded. A few days before our play date, Ted sent me a huge document with not just an outline of a plan, but step-by-step instructions on how to do it. I mean, like every single command I was going to need to type. I knew right then that I was in good hands. He sent me the document as a PDF, but I immediately converted it to a markdown document so I could do things like put little checkboxes next to each line item as I completed each step. One of the reasons Ted was trepidatious, and he was right to be fearful, was that I hadn't told him hardly anything about my current setup, nor what operating system I was even hoping to migrate to. All he knew was that I was running WordPress on CentOS, and I think he knew that I used DigitalOcean for my servers. His directions were so good that with a little help from the internet, I was able to complete the entire first 2 sections of his document all on my own before we even got together. This time I'm taking a break because I want to, not because I have to. Does this story turn into a rom-com? It does get comedic. I just love this guy. I just love him to bits. All right. One of the magical things about technology today is the ability to stand up virtual machines with literally a click of a button and a credit card. Step 1 of Ted's instructions said to create a new droplet, which is what DigitalOcean calls their virtual machines because they love their little water analogies. He suggested I use Ubuntu, but since that's a Debian variant of Linux, and I was used to the Red Hat variants, I chose to go with Rocky Linux. Now, to be perfectly honest, I couldn't tell a Red Hat Linux from a Debian Linux if you threatened to harm Kepler, but that sounded all nerdy when I said it, right? Didn't I sound cool? Now, luckily, Ted appears to be agnostic when it comes to his Nixes, so he didn't care which way I went. His instructions to set up the new OS included installing tools using the packet manager. His instructions to set up the new OS included installing tools using the package manager apt or apt, but Rocky Linux uses the package manager DNF. It was pretty easy to keep an AI running by my side to do the translations for me between the 2 package managers. I made the decision to go with Rocky months ago, but it made me particularly happy because I just finished rereading the Andy Weir book, Project Hail Mary, in which one of the heroes is named Rocky. If you haven't read it, drop everything. I mean, stop listening and go make that happen. You got to go read this book. It's fantastic. Weir is the author of The Martian, and now they're making Hail Mary into a movie that's coming out next year. It's going to be fantastic. Anywho, before getting together with Ted, following his amazing instructions, I was able to create the droplet, install the web server Nginx, and do some configuration stuff and even install some helpful tools that Teg recommended. I was very proud of my little self, and Teg appropriately patted me on my little pumpkin head when he saw all of my progress. I stopped at the next section in the document, which was starting to deal with WordPress. We had a decision to make here. Since something is hammering my server, which is why I was talking to ChatGPT in the first place, and the only information we did get from that is that the top processes that are getting hit are related to WordPress. It's called PHP-FPM. Teg was thinking maybe we should set up WordPress from scratch. Bart had recently moved his servers, and he thought just copying over the whole WordPress directory might be fine. Now, remember, we still don't know what's actually going wrong or what was going wrong with my server, so it sounded like a possible way to go. Now, remember, Teg had close to no information about how I had set up other folders for documents that show up on my website, things like my travel logs and the PBS index that Dorothy maintains. And Bart, on the other hand, had the luxury of knowing I had more to my site than the root WordPress directory. When Teg and I got on our play date, we went back and forth with the pros and cons of starting from scratch or just copying everything over. I was kind of a fan of doing it from scratch. You know how I like a clean install. But in the end, we decided to copy over the WordPress directory and all of the other files and just see how it goes. And we have a contingency plan to build it from scratch at a later date if we find that to be necessary. For the nerdlings listening, we copied my entire directory from the old droplet to the new one using rsync, and it was wicked fast. I think the infrastructure between the virtual private cloud services on DigitalOcean is a big part of that, and the rsync protocol is super fast too. Now, once we were in the thick of it, I created a new Markdown file and I took copious notes as we went along. Teg said he had never seen anyone do such good documentation while learning, and I again felt chuffed at the praise. One of the things that made this whole process so joyful was that Teg was a terrific instructor, or is a terrific instructor, I should say. I know this is his occupation, but not all teachers are good teachers. He was great at explaining what we were doing, telling me what to type, often character by character, since every space and hyphen means something, and yet he went at a perfect pace for me to keep up. We worked really well together. Now, at one point, we wanted to see if my website would render on the new Rocky installation. We hadn't yet flipped over DNS to point to Rocky, but there's a little file on your Mac called hosts, and you can trick it into changing your destination when you type in a URL. You could say change podfeet.com to go to lets-talk.ie if you wanted to by changing the host file to tell it to go to Bart's server IP address instead when you type podfeet.com. But that would be weird. For our first test of the new installation, we pointed to podfeet.com to the new IP address for Rocky. Unsurprisingly, it didn't work on the first try. Nginx, the web server, returned a permissions error, but at least it was serving up the generic web page for Nginx. Now, this was probably the first time I saw Teg actually get stuck for a while and not immediately know what to do. He eventually figured out that it was security-enhanced Linux enforcing some security policies, and he figured out how to fix it. When he finally got the permissions error fixed, we got a new error that said, error establishing database connection. Well, I know that one. That's the classic error you see when your WordPress and your database aren't communicating. This was possibly my favorite moment of our whole time working together because Teg's reaction to seeing a new error message was to throw his arms up in the air to celebrate and say, yay! Because it was a different error message and it meant he'd conquered the previous one. You got to know, this is a person who loves playing this game. Now, one of the scariest and yet easiest things to do is to flip the switch on DNS. One wrong move, and when people type in podfeet.com, there will be nothing there. I've done it many times, but I don't think I'll ever have the nerve to do it without someone holding my hand. When Teg and I changed what's called the A record in DNS to switch from the old server I'd named Gez to the new Rocky server's IP address, I held my breath. But as you can see in the show notes, the web traffic dropped to 0 on Gez right around the same time it fired up on Rocky, and nobody knew that all of this had happened but me and Teg. Now, the bottom line is that with Teg's superhuman efforts, podfeet.com was completely rebuilt and moved between servers, and you probably didn't even notice. That, of course, delights me, but what delights me even more is what Teg posted on Mastodon immediately after we were done. He wrote, "Worked the afternoon helping at Podfeet with tech stuff. What an awesome documenter of things. Great experience. Would do again. 5 stars. Also, go check out our podcast at podfeet.com. Isn't he awesome? He's the best. Anyway, when we realized we were finished, he was actually a little bit sad that we didn't have any excuse to play any longer. I told him there's a good chance that since we dragged my entire WordPress installation from the old server, there's still hope that whatever was ailing it on CentOS came along to the new server. I will probably still end up needing more help. Now, Teg looked delighted at the idea as he started musing on what scripts he would write to try to figure out where the problem could be. If he's good, I may let him do this as his reward. I'd be remiss if I didn't give Bart a big shout out at the end here. Just a few weeks before Teg and I got together, Bart moved Let's-Talk.ie to a new server too, as I mentioned earlier, and he took copious notes along the way. He gave us several documents ahead of time, and we used the one on how to set up a new cert and to get it to auto-update. The rest of it looked like Klingon to me before we started, so I ignored the other documents. However, now that I've been through the process with Teg, Bart's other documents have been very helpful. I don't understand all of them, but I've set up automatic OS updates, and I may have successfully set up email sending, and I've got the time zone on my server set to Los Angeles. Many thanks to Bart, and especially to Teg for doing yeoman's work, helping me move my server, and for being a delightful human all around. But that's not the end of the story. Teg and I forgot to test at least one thing: whether I could write new posts with embedded images on podfeed.com. 2 days after we did our victory laps at the success of our adventure, I tried to push this very article up to podfeed.com from Mars Edit, and I got an error saying I couldn't upload the image. I alerted Teg right away, and we started to noodle a couple of ideas. I'm not going to drag you through all of the gory details, but there were at least 2 problems. As I perused... I got to go back and read. Should be when should we be able to access your server? Oh my gosh. You're a terrible person, John. At least 2 problems. As I perused my notes from when the glorious Bill Reveal helped me in 2022, I found where he had me change a configuration file to allow large file uploads. And that matched the advice that Teg was giving me today. While that definitely had to be done, it didn't solve the problem. Now, I'm not the knowledgeable person here, but even I thought to check the file permissions for my uploads folder in the WordPress directory. It all looked hunky-dory to me. It showed me that my username had read, write, execute privileges. But pushing images to a WordPress directory isn't actually executed by my user. There's a tool called php-fpm that I mentioned earlier, and that controls the users, and it was set by default to the author. No, I'm saying that's badly written. There's a tool called php-fpm that I mentioned earlier, and it controls the users, and it was set by default by the author of php-fpm to the user Apache. Well, I'm not running the Apache web server anymore. I'm running Nginx. We did a few more things to create a group that included my user and Nginx, and then we changed php-fpm config files to match, and now everything was going to work. And finally, I was able to bring you this post exactly 45 minutes before showtime tonight. Now, Teg suggested that my initial fears about some guy on the internet helping me were well-founded, but you know what? He was there for me to clean things up when I needed him, so he's still my hero in the books. All right. That didn't take as long as I thought it would.
Yeah, you went through that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think so.
So are you and Teg have other little tasks you can go? Yeah.
Not right now.
Well, maybe you should just make... Oh, who
look at that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow.
I love that. That looks so fun to stitch.
That's nice.
I'm working on one, but man, it's a beast. If we have time at the end of the show, remind me and I'll... by the way, the graph that I moved isn't there.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
I swear I moved it.
Maybe you don't have permission to move images too soon.
Okay, it's in my... Oh, come on. Okay, why isn't... I'm looking for my clipboard history because I copied it. No, it's not there. How nuts. Okay, going to push
Is
it
it
up
in
again.
WordPress?
It's probably there. Okay, yeah. So what I should be able to do, annotated, there it is. So if I put it up there, and I'm going to put it up there, but then end of Gez, beginning of Rocky. I'm going to get rid of the upload because it's already there. Remove the attachment, and I'm going to push it again. Send a blog. Push. All right. So now, can you refresh and tell me if you see that?
Is it towards the end?
I don't remember. Where did I put it?
I
after
do
the DNS
see.
section.
I see the text, but not the image.
Cripes. Okay.
Right above.
Right above the bottom line. But before, okay, so it never went. Okay. Let's do it again. Why doesn't this image want to go?
You know, the image itself also seems to have the text in it, or I should say a placeholder for the image. There's the title below.
I don't know what that means.
There's
Yeah,
the title
I always
below,
do that.
And then above that is another square. It's empty of an image, but has similar wording, a little more. End of Gez, beginning of Rocky on DigitalOcean annotated.
I think you're probably seeing the alt text. Let's try it one more time. So it's in the section flipping the switch, and it's right before. I think it's there now.
Okay, we'll refresh.
Alrighty. So money. So this is
Yes, it is there.
Here's an interesting thing. I don't think I told Steve this. There's a thing that looks like it's going to happen in the U.S. government that tips are not going to be taxed. And it specifically calls out podcasters.
Yeah.
So buy me a coffee is a
and
tip
it's tax-free.
I'm saying it's an interesting thought. Do I want to talk people out of a subscription and into a something they might forget to do from time to time? Probably won't.
Oh, if it's through Patreon, then it's taxed? But
probably. I don't think, I mean, Patreon in general, with most podcasters, is looked at as you're getting something for it, you know?
I see.
It's some sort of transaction, not just a tip.
I see. I see the distinction. Yeah.
That's what I think, yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Justin Robert Young was plotting too. All right, here we go. Nope, not really going to go. Well, it's time to celebrate the heroes of the Podfeet podcast who contribute month after month through Patreon with only very rare thanks. When the pandemic hit, the patronage naturally went way down. But these particular heroes joined up even during the hardest of times. Our 5-year contributors from 2020 are Troy, Marty, Ryan, Zohar, John, and Richard. Thank you so much for your continued support of the Podfeet podcast. Security bits. Boy, I thought this was going to take forever. I actually thought maybe I don't even have time to do the great server migration. Good thing I finished it at the 11th hour. 11 hours and 15 minutes. And I pushed security bits out like 5 minutes before that.
Just in time.
Just in time. What was that? What was that show? That was a play. I met you just in time. It's a musical I worked on.
In high school?
Yeah. Can anybody tell what that is by my horrible singing? All right, where do I want? Security bits. There it is. Okay. Bart and I recorded 2 podcasts today because I thought I was going out of town next week. So I have some stuff ahead of time. Do you want to hear a plink, Steve?
Always.
Okay, you going to listen?
Listening.
Can you do it?
Blink.
There.
That's nicely done.
Short and sweet.
Merrily we roll along. Does that sound? That's what Marty says.
I've
Musical.
never heard of that one. And you know, I didn't accidentally listen to anything. Wait, wrong
You
one.
might pull a muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a strong possibility we're not going to Houston this time.
Something's trying to get in my door. Which flavor is it?
It's Kepler.
Is he just rolling around?
Yeah.
So our phones are going to be in Texas. It's going to be great. All right, here we go. Well, it's that time of the week again. My favorite time of the week. It's Security Bits with Bart Busschots. How you doing today, Bart?
I'm doing good, despite what I mastodoned or tooted or whatever we say this morning. The wind is so strong that all that rain on those radar images blew away, and I had a lovely cycle.
Even with all the wind, huh?
I chose very well sheltered routes until I was going home, and then I if I'd had a sail, I would have been home to like yesterday. I would have gone time traveling.
Yikes, yikes. Well, before we dig in, I want to remind the audience that Bart does two really terrific podcasts on his own. He does Let's Talk Apple and Let's Talk Photography. Talk Photography isn't about gear and stuff. It's about the art and craft of photography. And it's always a really good listen. It's sometimes more philosophical, more inspirational. It's a really great show. But I, in particular, really like Let's Talk Apple. He does it once a month, and it's kind of a top-level view of what's gone in the last month for Apple. It's about the lawsuits that he hates talking about, but you can't not talk about. It's got HR news. It's got top stories. He just covers everything, and he covers it in a way that's delightful, of course, turns of phrases, everything he does there. I just love this month's episode, the one I just finished listening to. I'm always a little bit late getting started, but they're both really good, and you can get them at lets-talk.ie. And I did all that off the cuff, Bart.
I'm extremely impressed. That was wonderful.
I wish you guys could see Bart, because he immediately kind of puts his head down because praise is harder for him to take. So I won't demand any reaction from him, but I want to make sure you guys remember that those shows are all out there and they're really, really good. They're just fantastic. So go give a listen, subscribe.
Thank you.
All right, now we can dig in.
Right. Well, I'm going to start with a little bit of a rewind. So 2 weeks ago when we were talking, we noticed a pattern. We were talking about nasty data breaches, and one word kept coming up. Salesforce. This was through a Salesforce breach. And then literally the day after we published, Brian Krebs posted a big expose explaining how it all hangs together. And then Bleeping Computer got the bit between their teeth and did a bit more digging. So we now know a lot more. And it isn't Salesforce that was breached. It was...
Hang on. Steve, can you hear this? Listen to this hum right now.
And it isn't...
Could you hear it?
Do it again.
Listen closely. It's on my side, but it's while Bart's talking.
A lot more. And it isn't Salesforce.
I couldn't hear it.
Really?
No, what did that?
It's the garage door.
Oh.
And I hit it as fast as I could, but now it's gone.
And it isn't
I think it happens
Salesforce
again.
that was breached. It was a third-party add-on you can choose to integrate with your Salesforce called SalesLoft, which hoovers up your Salesforce data, throws it into an LLM, and in theory creates really cool lead emails that you can spam people with. It's like, you were once our customer. We'd like to offer you this bloody-blah thing that our AI thinks you'd absolutely positively love, and we'll write it to you in a tone our AI thinks you'll love. It's not a tool that makes me happy. So the fact that it was also a security train wreck is not a good thing. And what was happening is that people who were customers of Salesforce and who chose to add the optional Sales Loft plugin, for want of a better term, integration, I guess, more broadly. Well, the attackers were able to break Sales Loft, which gave them an access point into that same customer's sales force,
And
which gave them an access point in. It's almost.
There's the second one. Here we go.
Looks like there's another one coming up too.
Force,
No, that's me
which
talking.
gave them an access point.
Watch, look at the shape. Well, it does look like talking, but it isn't.
Sales force, which gave them an access point into everything else that same customer also integrated with Salesforce. Now, Salesforce's job is to be a customer relationship management system and to sell things. It's almost always connected back to something else that is actually like the storefront or the organization itself. So then they could pivot back into the original customer, and so then they could.
If we're listing them as well.
So then they could pivot back into the original customer, and that's where the data breaches were.
Oh my gosh!
So hop, hop, boom.
So your notes say that it was a hacked GitHub account belonging to SalesLoft that started the whole chain of events.
That's how it all started. Wow. Yeah. So the attackers got into SalesLoft's Git account, were able to use that to get really deep into SalesLoft, were able to use that to get into SalesLoft customers, were able to use that to get into those same customers' Salesforce, and then from the same customer Salesforce back to the customer's home base.
Yikes. Has this been remediated in any way? Anything patched?
I believe SalesLoft went pink and pulled the plug.
Really? They just said, we're gone, we're out?
This AI bot is going quiet. Yeah.
Wow. Yikes.
And everyone has to update the secrets associated with their integrations, the nerdy under the hood stuff we're not going to dive into.
I bet some people at Salesforce said some really non-Girl Scout safe words about this.
Yes, because Salesforce are an extremely reputable company who have a long history of doing the right thing when bad things happen. So I imagine they had a lot of emails to write to their customers.
Oof. Maybe give some free stuff away.
Well, I hope so. Now we get to do a deep dive. So we had a very shiny Apple event, and I'll be talking about it on Let's Talk Apple. Lots of cool new hardware. As of tomorrow, when we record this, we all get to update our OSs, even on our existing phones.
Yay, let the anarchy begin.
But yeah, for better or for worse, you may update tomorrow. You may choose to wait a week. Your choice. But a little after the... Do we still call it a keynote if it's just a video they publish?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Whatever we... Yeah, the thing where Tim Cook says things and his friends. A little after that published, and we all enjoyed all the coolness, there was a blog post published.
I'm gonna bookmark this. Yay, let the anarchy begin.
Yeah, for better or for worse. A little after...
I'm gonna bookmark.
Bookmark?
This is... Yeah.
Not a chapter mark, something different here?
Sorry, chapter mark. Okay. Let me find... Yeah, this is a pretty important piece he's going to talk about, and it's about memory integrity enforcement. Just put a little chapter mark in there because it's a pretty important piece. He's going to make me read like 7 paragraphs here.
The ones highlighted in red? Wow.
Are they red? They're italics.
Italic red, yeah.
They're red?
Yeah. Not sure why.
Oh, they are. Oh, that's just my theme does that. Yeah, that was off the cuff. I had to read that much. Just, Allison, could you read this? It's like, holy cow. That's a lot. Oh, no, Sandy. When are they going to do that? Do you want me to talk to somebody?
Folks, stay patched so you stay secure.
All right. I'm going to try something. Kepler, stop it. All No, this needs to close, and this needs to be back open. And we can go here. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. Where are all those dumb questions? We even have a jingle for dumb questions. I want some dumb questions. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon, where you can meet people like Teg. That's where I met him. Found him on Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube like all the cool kids, you can go to podfeed.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all the other lovely NosillaCast castaways, including the lovely Bill Reveal that I mentioned so many times. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon, like Troy, Marty, Ryan, Zohar, John, and Richard do. And you could, if you don't want to do that, you can give me a one-time donation at podfeed.com/donate with Apple Pay or any credit card without a login. Or you can use PayPal if you like at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, I'm not sure if there's a live show this next weekend or not. There may not be. I'm not sure yet. But in any case, when you can, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
Yeah, you finished early.
Yeah, why is that not stopping? There we go. Wait a minute, the quilting software won't be updated? Oh, no, maybe it will be. All right. That ain't good. Let's see, music. You go down here. Get ready to count the chapters. Remember, I snuck one in on you, Steve.
All right. I think
Thanks
I
for
can add
listening,
one.
and stay subscribed. Oh, they're not even going to try until they see the release? Don't they know about the betas? You know, I think they probably will, because it's not that big of a deal other than visually. I see 5.
As do I.
It's a miracle. From what I've seen, companies are not struggling with this one, other than, you know, it's going to be janky looking. Marco Arment says to be really nice to developers, because if you see problems with their apps that are visual, it's not their fault. It's Apple's fault, because a lot of stuff is really janky still.
You're talking about the liquid glass appearance, or
Like buttons not text not lining up, things. Yeah. It's got a lot of problems. So anyway, well, I think I did it.
You did.
I think I made it through.
And you had no shorts in your circuitry behind your computer after that water dump?
No? Yeah, don't say it until it's done.
You still have to upload the show.
Yeah, that's true. I'm starting to upload things while we close out here. All right. Well, is that just going to be every single week now for the rest of time? I asked somebody for something. Shoot, who was it? I think it was Norbert did it. I was having a conversation. Wait, fix the errors. I thought I chose the file. I didn't choose the file. I swear I did. No, I didn't. Anyway, I asked Norbert something, and he just grabbed some random file that was like in his clipboard with a bunch of scribbles on it. Oh, well, I think we're good. I don't know if there's going to be a live show.
Yeah, we'll get the word out.
If we go to Houston, there won't be. If we don't go to Houston, I'll be here and I'll be all sad. So good luck with that. Hope it's fun. All right, everybody. I'm going to go look for some bourbon to drink or rye or something. All right, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everybody.